Right now at noon, Joplin police discuss a rash of copper thefts from air conditioning units in the city.
And we've got some clouds out there. We're also starting to see a few of those pop-up storms a little early. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
Plus a look at how a park ranger program in Joplin has grown over the past year.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, Joplin police warned the public of a rise in air conditioner vandalism. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Elise Noe. Thieves are vandalizing air conditioning units to steal copper and get money for it. The Joplin Paint Center is a victim of the vandalism and says replacement cost them a lot of money. The Joplin Police Department is urging the public to conceal their AC units or install an alarm system.
The copper metal that unfortunately thieves see that as an easy target to go in and damage those, cut piping, can remove it and then take it in and turn it in for scrap.
Captain Davis says it's important to report any suspicious activity to the Joplin Police Department. Now let's check in with Chris Warner for a look at the forecast.
Yeah, speaking of some suspicious activity, we've got Mother Nature giving us a couple of those pop-up storms a little early. We can see some of the clouds from the MoDOT camera 32nd and range line in Joplin. And of course, a few clouds here and there from our camera in downtown Joplin on the Cornell complex, and same up around the Pittsburgh area. KDOT camera there at 69 and Kansas Crossing. Here's what that looks like on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. They are very spotty, very isolated. A little further to our east, there's a few more, but nonetheless, just within the last half hour or so, we've seen a little activity start to flare up across the area. Nothing severe, nor are we expecting anything like that. Yeah, it started at 61 yesterday, made it up to 85, continuing that trend of below normal temperatures. We're up to 83 in Joplin right now, 82 in Pittsburgh, and temperatures on their way to the low to mid 80s, and we're going to go mid upper 80s for our highs today, so looking pretty good. Heading through the rest of the evening, again, an isolated pop-up shower or storm will be possible. The winds will be relatively light, and skies will clear out later this evening as we head into the overnight hours, down to about 74 by 11 o'clock. We're going to talk about these pop-up storm chances and when the big heat arrives here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, thanks, Chris. The Community Blood Center of the Ozarks is positive the need for blood donations right now is critical. The CBCO is the sole provider of blood to hospital patients across the Ozarks, and it's in emergency need of all blood types. They have reported a historic low in donations and currently have less than a one-day supply available.
Being the sole supplier for 45 hospitals, we need to collect about 200 to 220 donations a day to ensure that we have an adequate supply for the hospital's inventory. So when we see numbers like this, historically low numbers, that really causes a strain on the hospitals to ensure that we've got the appropriate amount of blood on the shelves for those patients in those local hospitals.
Eligible donors are encouraged to give immediately. All donors in July will receive a plush Chillin' in the Ozarks beach towel while supplies last. To avoid wait times, appointments are strongly encouraged. To schedule an appointment, you can go to cbco.org. KDOT Southeast Kansas is hosting a public meeting concerning the future of US 69 in Crawford County. KDOT says the focus of the meeting will be on the intersection of US 69 and K103 in Cherokee County. The meeting is a follow-up to a study conducted by the department. 2 meetings take place today. The first one is at the Pittsburgh Auditorium from 11 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon, and the later meeting takes place from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Pittsburgh High School. Well, it only takes a split second for something to go wrong while crossing the street. In order to minimize the risk, the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office wants to share some safety tips for pedestrians of all ages, but especially for children. They stay alert and don't focus on electronic devices. Make eye contact with drivers if entering traffic and use a crosswalk when possible to cross the street.
It's important to realize that people are going to work, trying to get their morning commute, get their kids to school and get to work as kids are trying to walk and ride their bikes to school. So I see many times out that kids are piled up at the crosswalk and wait for someone to wave them across the road before they start because, they're young and they're nervous. So it's important to teach your kids once they get to the crosswalk and the cars stop, if there's a stop sign, when the car stops, they have now the right of way.
We have even more safety tips for pedestrians on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, it's been more than 1 year since the city of Joplin created its Park Ranger program. The program was created when the city received feedback that community members were concerned about safety. The Rangers are intended to be a visible presence in the park, helping to deter acts such as vandalism and other illegal activities. According to city officials, they act as an alternative to police in many situations at the parks. Park rangers say it's rewarding to be able to give back to their community by helping to improve the parks.
You know, vandalism is down a lot, property damage is down quite a bit. You know, the one thing, you know, it's outdoors, there's a lot of trash cans, you know, seems that people sometimes don't always get their trash thrown away, but I also see a lot of people when they come in, they'll always grab a piece or two, throw it in the trash can, so things are definitely getting better.
If you have a problem or concern about a city park, you can submit a comment on the City of Joplin's website. Well, members of 4-H and the FFA are showing off their livestock and hard work this week at the Labette County Fair. Today, exhibitors presented poultry and cattle. The fair is a way for participants to enjoy community engagement.
These kids work really hard at what they do, and it's a long week. Usually it's really hot, and so we want to support them in any way we can.
The fair concludes this Friday with a livestock auction at 4 p.m. Well, coming up, how President Biden's withdrawal from the 2024 election will impact ballots in Missouri. And later, we're making State Fair cream puffs in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle, has resigned in the wake of the attempted assassination of former President Trump. Cheadle and the Secret Service have been facing intense scrutiny over security lapses related to the assassination attempt. There were bipartisan calls in Congress for her to step down, and Republicans wanted to impeach her. Frustration grew after she testified before Congress yesterday and was unwilling to answer many of the committee's questions. Cheadle's resignation comes as lawmakers and a government watchdog continue to investigate the agency's handling of Trump's protection. Vice President Kamala Harris will travel to Milwaukee today for her first rally since announcing her presidential campaign. This comes after President Biden suspended his re-election bid Sunday and endorsed her to take his place. Yesterday, CNN's delegate estimated she has secured enough delegate endorsements to win the Democratic presidential nomination. Earlier this week, major Democratic elected officials in Wisconsin endorsed her campaign, including Governor Tony Evers and Senator Tammy Baldwin. Her campaign announced she has raised $81 million in her first day as a candidate. Well, it's been more than 50 years since a sitting president decided not to run for re-election, but it wasn't this close to the presidential election. Chris Bryant looks at how the November ballot process will work in Missouri.
Of course, a lot of conversations going on since the big news yesterday, but you know, they all start with just a gigantic thank you and recognition of the character of Joe Biden.
Democrats are hoping to get a nominee in place to avoid a broken convention in August.
Time is not our friend here. A lot of things have to happen really fast. We're just barely over 100 days ahead of us in this election, and even, you know, a handful of days before these deadlines with the potential roll call and the convention.
In the state of Missouri,
we will revisit what the law says. I don't know that something like this has ever happened or has happened in the history of our current Missouri Constitution.
when it comes to what your ballot will look like in Missouri come November, Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft says state statute has the final say.
Well, under Missouri law, the Democrat National Convention is used to decide who their nominee will be for president. So legally, they have not transmitted to us President Joe Biden as their nominee, so they can still transmit whoever they want to.
Which is different than a president becoming incapacitated.
Actually, there are in-law provisions for when a candidate dies. A candidate just realizing that he's incapable of serving and using that to decide that he shouldn't run for re-election is a lot different.
While all sides wait for the official nominee.
If folks are looking for a way to get involved here, if they were thinking about sitting this election out because they didn't like their choices or they didn't, wanted to, see something else. This is going to be something else.
Well, Ohio requires that in order to be on the ballot for the November election, a party must certify the names of the president and vice president candidates 90 days before the November election. Still to come on KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
It's day 2 of our week-long salute to fair foods, and one bite of these cream puffs and you'll be floating on cloud 9. You'll see.
And we are continuing to monitor a few pop-up storms out there, and the heat is on as dangerous heat may return next week. The latest on that forecast when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM News at noon. So we mentioned the possibility of a few pop-up storms later today. We're seeing a couple of small showers here and there on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. So we're going to start over in southeastern Kansas. You take a look into Greenwood County, north of Eureka. This is what we're saying. Even there's one northwest of Butler in Missouri in Bates County. But as you can see, there's really not much out there at this point. So these are even more isolated and they're much smaller than what we may see a little later. Then we travel in northeastern Oklahoma. This is the biggest shower we've got. One right over Copeland, and then north of Cayuga, south of Wyandotte on Highway 10, another shower out there. And the better showers, the more organized ones at this point so far, are staying outside of our area to the southeast, even further east of Branson towards West Plains, south of Rolla. And we've got a new little pop-up storm going up on the east side of Wichita. And that's about it. Just a few of these little spotty showers. And we could still see some additional pop-up showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two as we head into the afternoon. And so that's been really the biggest change from this morning, is just an earlier initiation time for some pop-up storms across the area. But the thing is, they're still expected to be very isolated. We're not anticipating any strong or severe storms. As you just saw on the Skywatch Storm Tracker, many of them not very big on top of everything else. Now, as we head into our Wednesday, it's still looking like over the next several days a similar situation is going to unfold, where by the afternoon hours we'll start to have opportunities for isolated pop-up showers and maybe a couple of thunderstorms here and there. And that'll continue to be the case even as we go into our Thursdays. We're going to skip ahead to Thursday afternoon, and if you look, there they are, just a few isolated pop-up showers, maybe a thunderstorm. They'll be short-lived. They're not going to be very big, and again, they aren't expected to do much in terms of any severe weather, anything like that. 83 in Joplin, does feel like 85. Dew point's up there. Humidity's not as bad, but it's the dew point that's going to get us over the next several days. Wind is variable at about 4. Heading over to Pittsburgh, again, we've got some clouds here and there. 82 feels only like 83. So a little better, east breeze at 5. Around the area, temperatures for most of us low to mid 80s. We've got some upper 80s in the parts of southeastern Kansas, even some upper 70s, Cassville, Monette on the Missouri side. And once you factor in the humidity and dew point, heat index values are not overly excessive at this point, and they're not expected to be, at least not for the next few days. It's going to feel muggy, but it's not going to be oppressively hot out there for us. However, that is going to begin to change. For the rest of the day, again, mid-upper 80s, so warmer than where we have been, still on the muggy side. Isolated pop-up shower storm. We clear out overnight tonight. Lows back to about 67. Wind for the most part calm, light and variable, so not much of a breeze. And that'll also be the case with the wind heading into our Wednesday. It'll be light, variable. Not much out there. Isolated pop-up shower storm. Now we're back to about normal, though. 90 for the high, and it's still going to be on the muggy side. So we're going to hold on to average temperatures all the way through at least Saturday. We're going to be right around 90, low 90s. Pop-up storm chances also continue through Saturday. Once we get past Saturday, though, take a look at what happens. I mean, we don't want to, but you've got to be aware and be prepared for the return or the potential return of some dangerous heat as we head into next week. Highs going back mid-upper 90s, maybe even the lower 100s. And even with minimal dew points, minimal humidity, we can still get those heat index values pushing 105 or higher, especially by Wednesday and Thursday. So we got the pop-up storms, a little muggy out there, normal temperatures, but next week still got to keep an eye on that. We could see that dangerous heat climb right back up here.
Absolutely. Well, it was fun while it lasted.
It was a nice break. We deserved that break, but it's not going to last much longer.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Well, stick around. We're making State Fair cream puffs in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. We'll be right back. Howard is showing us how to make State Fair cream puffs in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
All this week, we're out of the kitchen and tasting all sorts of favorites that are served at fairs around the country. You know, and a few things that I've learned from going to so many fairs over the years is you should never pig out before going on a ride that flips you upside down and spins you around faster than the speed of light. And if you plan on trying one of everything, make sure you pace yourself. I know that's pretty hard to do when you're face to face with so many goodies, like these irresistible cream puffs that they make at the Wisconsin State Fair, which are the size of softballs. When we say irresistible, we mean it. Each year during the fair, they sell more than 350,000 of them, and every one of them is baked freshly right at the fair. You see, after the shells are baked, they're cut in half and filled with mounds of freshly whipped cream before the tops are put back on. And for those of you who can't get to the fair, we have an easy recipe for them that you can make at home. Right before serving these, you finish them with lots of powdered sugar. Then you better open up wide, because these are no ordinary cream puffs. They're humongous. To get the recipe for our State Fair cream puffs, all you have to do is go online and you'll be good to go. I'm Howard from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, and once I finish these off, I'm off to find other fair favorites, ones that'll have you saying, ooh, it's so good.
Well, you can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. Now, here's a look at the 4-state market prices.
All right, still got a few pop-up showers out there, especially south of I-44. A few pop-up showers and storms still possible today. They'll be isolated, nothing strong or severe. And we're going to start warming up. Average temperatures all the way through Saturday, and then we're watching that potential for dangerous heat next week as we go upper 90s, maybe some lower 100s out there. So that nice streak we had of below normal temperatures coming to an end.
All righty, can't say I'm looking forward to it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, can't fight it.
Nope. All right, thanks, Chris. Well, coming up tonight at 5, from rising temperatures to stormy weather and wildfires, a new survey shows climate change is impacting Americans' mental health. We're going to take a look at why more than half of adults are saying climate change is impacting their mental health. Plus, Ottawa County has a new central dispatch center. We're going to hear how this will benefit residents in the county. And Jasper County public officials hold test voting equipment ahead of future elections. You can join us for those stories and more on KOAM News at 5. And that's the news for now. Thank you for joining us on KOAM News at noon. Have a great rest of your day.